Hey guys, welcome back to Attack on TCG. Fluff here, coming back at you with another Dragon Ball Super TCG deck profile. So, I've told myself for a while now that I was going to do something with green that wasn't androids, that wasn't Cell. That turned out to be a harder task than I thought. Going back through all the sets, looking at archetypes that are viable for green, there was Brawly. I'm missing a few of the key Brawly cards, so I couldn't do Brawly. And then I wanted to do something with Namekians, and we've tested Namekians over and over again, and I cannot for the life of me get it where I want it to be. So I thought I would get a little creative and look at something different. I've tested this deck a little bit, and this deck has moments where it shines, and then it has moments where it just gets its ass handed to it. But one of the things that I want to say about this deck profile before I actually get into the deck is that green is, by and large, I think, the most undersupported color in the game. I don't feel good about the way that greens are. And as you'll see, this is a quote-unquote green deck, but I'm going to say there's only like 19 to 23 green cards in the deck. So, and that was like a struggle for me to get to that. So I'm going to keep tweaking around. Maybe I'll find things that I like. In exchange for it, I'm really interested to see what people think about this deck. I don't want people to tear this deck down. I don't want people to say this is awful. Let's take the concept of this deck. I'll explain the concept as we go along. That's more what I'm going for than an actually finished product here. But let's take the concept and build upon it and make it perfect. So we're using the Dragon Ball leader. I find it difficult to come off of this leader, especially if you're relying on desire mechanics or draw power. I really like the Dragon Ball leader. Of course, it taps itself to find 2 Dragon Balls in deck or life. And then on the backside, once you have 7 Dragon Balls in the drop area, you get the Shenron leader from the starter deck. This guy's amazing. I can't wait to play with Porunga and Dende once they come out of set Themed Booster 5? Or no, sorry, Themed Booster 3. Clash of Fates. So once we see those, I'll be playing with those a little bit more than sticking with Shenron itself. But Shenron, of course, once per turn, you can choose one, you can draw a card, you can play a Desire as long as you have the energy to have played it before, or you can remove Dragon Balls from your drop area. 7 Dragon Balls. Choose one of your battle cards, gains 10,000 power and triple attack for the turn. So, in most decks that I've used this, I've used that triple attack to create a 1-turn kill. I thought in this one I would try to use it in a different way and create complete and total field control and just game control. So that's the leader. We're going to get into the green cards of the deck. So starting out, we run 3 Newfound Power Son Gohan. Typically I wouldn't use a card that ticks life with a Shenron leader. I think one of the things that makes Shenron so good is that it doesn't have to tick its own life. It doesn't have to take a life to be better. It doesn't have to be at 4 to be incredibly good. This is one of those situations where that's not necessarily the case. So we do run 3 of these. When it attacks, take 1 from your life. It gains 10,000 power and critical for the turn. We are only using this for the take a life. That is the only reason that we're using this card. We do run 3. I didn't see a need for 4 because after the first few turns, you just don't play them again. The next, and the reason that we need to have the life lower in this deck is because of Spirited Search Super Saiyan Trunks. Now, it's got this shatter foil on it. It's hard to read, so I'm going to keep it here. Hopefully, you guys can make it through the little bit of glare and shatter effect there. But activate main once per turn. When your life is 4 or less, choose 1 green or black desire card from your drop area and add it to your hand. And then also, when you play this card, if your life is 5 or more, choose up to 2 Dragon Balls from your deck and add them to your drop area, then shuffle your deck. So we're mainly after him for this first one. And sorry, my thumb isn't like moldy or anything. I was spray painting gold earlier and it's all over my fingernail. Sorry. But we're using him for that first effect to recycle our desire cards and take advantage of that, specifically Child's Wish and World Peace. But you'll see that a little bit later. We do run 4. This is kind of the main guide to the deck. This is the entire reason that I built this deck, was because of him. Next, continuing with the green and taking life, we have Hone Moves Yamcha. Came out of the Themed Booster 2. I think probably one of the better cards that came out of that set as far as splashability. Critical, when you play this card, choose 1 card from your life, add it to your hand. If you do, your opponent chooses 1 card from their life or from their hand and adds it to the drop area. So this fits with the whole control element of the deck, plus he's got crit. This guy can be incredibly overwhelming for your opponent, especially if you can cause them to discard a few times before you get too low on life that you really shouldn't. But 15,000 crit is nothing to snuff at. He does fit under Child's Wish. He's just an amazing card to have. I really love the fact that he's got critical, and you don't have to use his effect to take a life if you don't want to, if you just want the crit striker on the field. Next with green, we play 3 of the Kami-powered Piccolos. I've always wanted to build a deck that used this guy. Back before Super Saiyan 3 leader was banned, I really liked running blue-green. It was something that I was toiling around with my head. It was something that I really wanted to do, but I never got a chance to do it before the card got banned. So I wanted to do something with him now. He has Barrier Double Strike, once per turn Bond 2. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So I absolutely love that effect. If he stays on board, if you have multiple on board, you will just absolutely wreck with this card. They will have difficulty keeping a significant board presence if they're a swarming type of deck. There are a few cards that you don't want to destroy on your opponent's side of the field, or a few cards that have barrier that won't do this, but that's why we only run 3. Plus he's a double striker for 20,000, so he will continue to punish as long as he's on the board. Next in the green line, we've got Combo Killer and Zilla, or Analaza, sorry. I've wanted to do something with this card for a long time, but I just didn't feel like he was great this format because of the sheer hand advantage of Shenron and the like decks. It's too late to really be effective against Storm. It's only once per turn, so it's not really going to affect a Shenron deck to any degree, but I wanted this there for late game moments when comboing matters. So you combo and your opponent just has to combo, they have to discard, they're losing resources. So we do play 3 of these. And then moving on to our last green card in the deck, we've got Super 17, the Infernal Machine. This being the promo that came out of the most recent tournament pack. Double strike, the attack cannot be negated. When you play this card, choose 2 cards in your hand, place them in the drop area. Then your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and places them in the drop area. So this card is awesome for bringing back from the drop zone, attacking with him. You don't have to worry about attacking with him. Your opponent can't negate it. They're going to be forced to combo through it. Plus, when he's played, your opponent loses 2 cards. So I do really love this card in the deck. Though, I wish that it was an earlier play as opposed to 4. But we do play it with World's Peace, and we can outright pay the 3 green and 1 of the other energy to play him out. And then kind of getting into tech choices of the deck. I only run these because they are World's Peace or Child's Wish targets, but I do run 3 Explorer Bulma. When you play her, you can choose up to 2 cards from the top of your deck to place in the drop area, and then choose 2 of your energy, retap them, and then draw 1 card. This is awesome. This is an awesome turn 2 play. So turn 1 would be to charge and maybe 1-star Dragon Ball. Turn 2 would be to Child's Wish her from the drop area, retapping 2 energy, setting up for your awakening later, but then also retapping 2 energy to do something else that you need to do with. And then late games, this can be used to continue plays, fuel, plus draw. Plus she's a 10,000 swinger, which isn't terrible, but we do run 3 of her. This is the only yellow card that we play in the deck. We don't run Battering Laser or Flying Nimbus because we run her. We only use her because we can abuse her with World's Peace and Child's Wish. And then kind of the last kind of odd color tech, we do run 2 Beerus Universe 7 Divine Vanquisher. 5-drop, this is kind of our trump card in the deck. It's easy enough to get him into the drop area. You can combo with him, you can discard him with Android 17, you can discard him with 1-star ball. If your opponent crits your life and he's in there, he goes in there, but then you World Peace him on turn 5. Give him triple attack and just let him swing. They're going to give up a ton of resources, energy costs equaling 18 or more through those 3 attacks, even if they were negated. So unless they Mafuba on that first attack, they're going to lose a ton of resources. They're probably going to lose cards in their energy. They're going to lose cards in their field, and they're going to lose cards in their hand. But we do run 2 of those. Didn't want to run any more than that because we don't run enough blue energy to outright play him, but we wanted to have enough access to him to be able to play him from the drop area if we could. Then from there, we kind of run into other tech choices / black cards. I do play one of the Kami Global Unifier, just this for Swarm. We do run ways to play Kami for free from the drop area. So Kami, just great for Swarm. Every time he's played, you get to draw a card, then you can combo off with him to play him again for free later, or you can actually use his effect to pop the field and keep a Swarm advance. There are times you don't want to do this, like if you've got a Spirited Search and a Shenron set up, and your engine is just going, you don't want to do this, so I didn't want to flood my hand with these guys. So I chose to only use one. The deck draws plenty fast, so you'll see it if you potentially need it. But if you ran more than this, you just would never see it, or you would see it far too often to be useful. Our super combo, we do run the Temporal Rescue Trunks. This guy's pretty self-explanatory. Sparkling 5. When you have 5 cards in the drop area and you combo with this, your card that you choose gains 10,000 and you draw a card. Super combo, nothing special there. Then we do run 2 of the Shenron Figure of Majesties. These guys are amazing. I think maybe this is the reason that Shenron itself is so freaking good compared to everything else. Once per turn, you get to draw a card, then either retap 2 of your energies or play a desire, choose one battle card with an energy cost of 2 or less, and from your drop area and play it. So this can be used to play your combos. It can be used to play Kamis. It can be used to play the Gohans, or lastly, 5,000 plus crit on a battle card or leader of your choice, which is just amazing with that Beerus, or amazing with the Android 17 that can't be negated. So we do run 2 of these, another World's Peace target. For the Dragon Ball lineup, I feel is pretty standard for a deck like this. We do run 6 Dragon Balls, and then we do run 1 World Star. Or one star ball. I think this is pretty awesome for setting up Explore Bulmas or Beerus, or setting things in the drop area. Plus, it forces your opponent to sacrifice early resources. I found myself late gaming this with Dragon Radar just to make my opponent discard. I don't think 1 star is needed in every deck, but in decks that need to set up their drop zone or get specific things in there without paying the energy to do so, plus making your opponent discard, I feel like it's needed in that situation. So where we do want things in the drop area for our desire cards, it is essential that we run the 1 star ball. Then I do run 3 Dragon Radar. I was running 4, but I needed to find space for a couple other things that would be useful in the deck. So I chose to go 3. This is a good balance point for me in this deck. You see them when you need them. They're not ultra cloggy, and they're almost always useful. So again, we do run 3 there. Getting into our desire cards, we do run 3 Child's Wish. Kind of the same thing with Dragon Radar. 4 is far too many. 3 is enough, especially with the ability to recycle using Dragon Radar or Spirited Search Trunks. So 3 Child's Wish is perfect. You don't need really any more than that. You don't need to run 4. Then I do run 2 World's Peace. You don't really need 3. They'll clog your hand early game. Late game, they're easy enough to recycle with Trunks and with Dragon Radar, so I don't ever really feel the need to do this. And in fact, one of the problems with this deck, I think, is that the hand does get a little clogged with black desire, things that you can't actively use. So we do play 2 of those, but I wouldn't add any more. When I built it the first time, I did have 3 in there, and I ended up dropping it back down. And as far as the negates, we play Power Burst. This is awesome for recycling commies if we need to. You can add them back to your hand to play them again for the one draw, or if you need to reset the field again. But you can play this with Sparkling 5. You can pay it with a life instead of having to pay an energy. It's not the best negate in the game, but it seems to work the best with the Shenron leader, especially if there are turns that you might tap yourself out. And turn 4 and 5 are pretty crucial and pretty spoken for. So having the ability to play free negates in this deck is just, it's crucial, I think. Maybe you can tell I'm not totally into this deck. I don't love it 100%. I wanted to do something with green. I wanted to move away from blue. I wanted to move away from red. But I want this deck to be good. I'm rooting for it. I'm going to continue to mess with it even after this. So I'm looking forward to your comments, suggestions, things that you would change on it. Hopefully it beats Bancroft's deck and I don't look dumb. But make sure to check that out, guys. And I will see you next week with my next deck profile. Bye.